One of the greatest challenges that families face is having the conversation with their family member about the idea of a move to senior living. Now, the senior living communities, specifically nursing homes in the 1940s, which are oftentimes the places that our older family members are thinking about, were very, very different than they are now today. So I just want to share with you a few ideas on how to start having this conversation, help to just crack open the window with your family member about what this potentially could look like and why it could be a good fit for your family. So the first thing is checking your own energy when you are having this conversation. Are you having this conversation, bringing it up in the heat of the moment? Are you bringing it up when maybe something has gone wrong, or there's a medical situation, or perhaps a mistake has been made? And as children, as family members, we get like kind of freaked out and afraid about what it could all mean when those things are happening. So checking our own energy when we are having these conversations is really important. Are we calm? Are we centered? Do we have loving intentions? And that is like the very first place to start. We never want to threaten someone with senior living as an option because of something that has just happened. So that is the first step in having this conversation, is really getting centered within yourself and your own energy. Another important step when we are having these conversations with family members about a potential move to senior living are intentions. What are the intentions? Because so often what we can agree on as family members is health and safety and well-being. Now, how we get there, we may differ. However, if we clearly have situations that are happening in the home where safety and health are being compromised, we want to make sure that those are the intentions with which we're coming to having these conversations with our family members. What we do not want is, again, a threatening tone, to be shaming somebody or making them feel bad. We want to make sure that our intentions are clear and clean, that we have just genuine concerns that we need to start looking at and problem solving for. The other thing to keep in mind is these are not one and done conversations. Oftentimes what's happening is we are planting seeds. So we want to make sure that we are bringing this subject up of a life change, a big potential move to senior living, that they are not in the heat of the moment of circumstances. It's kind of like when we are talking to our partner, our spouse, our kids, our colleagues. Like when we are in the heat of the moment with something, that is not the time to really be in problem solving mode, because our prefrontal cortex is not working as clearly and cleanly. So just remember, again, that this is not going to be a one and done conversation where you bring it up and they're like, yeah, that's a great idea. I would love to sell my home, all my belongings, and move. We need to have some patience and understand that we're planting seeds, we're watering the seeds, and the goal, again, is health and safety and well-being. Something else I want you to keep in mind is this sensation of discomfort. We know that having this conversation is going to be uncomfortable. We also know that we already are feeling uncomfortable. If we can tell that something is going on, that there is potentially a change that needs to be made, there's a really solid chance at various points during the day, our family member is feeling the same way. So I think a lot of times people avoid having these conversations with their family members because they're worried about the response, the reaction, and they don't want to be made to feel uncomfortable. And it's just important to remember we're already there. We're already in discomfort as we are observing things and having to manage things. So a little discomfort is worth the effort that it is going to take to have these conversations with your loved one. So your goal when having these conversations with your family member is to come from a place of genuine love and curiosity. You want to make sure that you are not putting someone on the defense. Now, we did talk about that there's potential that this can be an uncomfortable situation. When that does occur, part of that discomfort is willing to actually not fill in the blanks with words when the discomfort is in the air. So let's say you were to ask a question like, how do you think things are going right now? What do you think is the trajectory of the current situation? And they say, I think everything is just fine. You can just sit there and smile and hold space and be genuinely interested and curious without trying to fill in the blanks about what is not working. So I highly recommend really fine-tuning that skill of not quickly responding when you ask a question and then they are giving you an answer back that you think is not what you want to be hearing. Just hold the space. You're going to allow for the discomfort, allow for them to continue to think, to have a thought process about what the situation is, and give things just a little bit of time before jumping right back in to a defensive space or an attacking place or responding with another comeback to the question that you just asked. Okay, I'm going to go through some options that you can use when you are having these conversations with your family members about senior living. I'm going to look at my list so that I don't leave anything out. The first one is just asking your family member if it is not physically possible for you to stay here, where would you like to go? If it is not physically possible for you to stay in your home, where would you like to go? It's fair to say to your family member, this feels really hard and a little frustrating. This current situation is unsustainable. And just let that hang out there for a minute and see what their thoughts are. It's fair to say to your family member, we need more help. We need more help. Or I need more help. As we age, it can be increasingly difficult to self-assess what kind of help that we need. And I think a lot of times as family members, we fall into this pattern of just doing a lot of things for people, picking up the slack, filling in the gaps. And over time, that list grows and increases, and we're kind of losing track about how many things are being done for us. So just to say, we need more help or I need more help is a fair way to introduce the idea of potentially a senior living consultant or some other professional who is in the industry of helping someone figure out housing arrangements or that sort of thing. One of the things that can increasingly become challenging as we get older is our ability to self-assess, like how we're doing in our activities of daily living and the tasks that we're doing to manage our day. And so one of the ways that I have introduced the concept of it's time to consider a change is to just observe and share with my family member. It feels like things have changed quite a bit over the last months or years. And I'm just curious about where do you see things going? Like, what direction do you feel like we're headed in here? Our family members do not want to feel like they are burdening us with things, which is oftentimes why they keep information a little close tight to the chest. I don't know if that's a card game reference, but that's one of the reasons why they aren't sharing information, is that they just don't want to bother anybody or burden anybody. There's potential that they have kind of lost track of how much you're actually helping them. So maybe you have increasingly been taking them to the doctors, or there's been a hospital stay, you're trying to coordinate food, that sort of thing. So it's fair to say to your family member, we need more help, or I need more help. and just see where that conversation can lead. Because again, our ability to self-assess how much help we are needing can decline as we continue to age. So just introducing the idea of, I feel like we need more help and I'm interested in exploring what our options are, is a great way to tip open this door. Something to remember is that our older family members have a peer group. So they are watching what is happening with their friends. And if they are struggling to see themselves in a position that might need to make the change or the move, ask them about their friends who have made this move. Now, sometimes what comes up is, well, so-and-so moved and they're just not happy there. One of the things that I have observed over time in conversation with people is that the people that they are talking about, maybe their entire lives have never been happy with anything. So the thing that I want to share with you is to just keep some perspective as you're having these conversations with your family members, that they have a peer group that they are tracking and watching. And it's just fair to be very curious with your family member about the experiences that their peers are having. How is it going? Because there's potential that someone in the peer group has made this move and is actually having a really super experience, really good experience. So that's just another little food for thought as you are navigating these conversations. Another way to introduce the idea of senior living to a family member is to just share with them, I would like to have this information available so that we know what the options are. What we know for sure is the longer people wait and the more help they need, the fewer options they will have that are available to them. So if you're the planner in the family and you're the one that loves doing the research, just let them know, hey, I just am collecting some information to make sure that when the time comes, if the time comes, we know what options are available to us in our area. The tip we're wrapping up with here today is being open to the idea of, I think a lot of times these conversations just feel so hard because we feel like we are swimming upstream and we have this thought in our mind that a move to senior living, this transition, somehow it's going to be worse than the current situation. So if we can just be in a place of curiosity and open to the idea of, this could actually be a win-win situation. Open to the idea of things could actually be better than they are now. Being open to the idea of this transition isn't going to be as hard as we thought, and we're all going on the other side to come out of this okay. So just holding that thought, being open to the idea of, and posing that to your family member. Are you open to the idea that maybe this is actually something that would be beneficial for you and the family? I hope these tips have helped.